Okay, so welcome back from your various destinations to this week's CodeFusion free coding webinar. Today, we are going to do a little bit on top of what we did last week, but largely we are going to talk around the coding environment, like your workshop, let me put it that way, where you have your tools, you have everything you need to do your creation. Okay, so that's how the environment is like. The typical environment we are learning as the environment of choice is Jupyter Lab. Jupyter Lab is technically Jupyter Notebook. Many people know of it as Jupyter Notebook. Yeah, but the lab version is an enhancement of the classical notebook. So when I say Jupyter Lab, it's the same as Jupyter Notebook, technical things. So we'll talk about, we are using Jupyter Lab as the programming environment of choice. So we are learning how things work over there. Today, what we are going to do on top of that is we'll look at the cloud version of the notebook, the Jupyter Notebook, the cloud version of the Jupyter Notebook, and that is Google Colab. That version is made by Google. And the advantage of Google Colab is that since it is hosted in the cloud, so it's like you have Google Colab installed on another person's machine. And you can use that person's machine and that machine's resources. You don't need to have those resources on your machine. So that's the concept of cloud computing. So someone is like renting his computer to you. So there are some giant computers, supercomputer servers, which are being rented to you through the cloud. That's the concept of cloud computing. So Google Colab, it's that kind of architecture. It's on Google's machines and you can load it. So Google will give you some space, you get some drive, you get some RAM. It's in the cloud, so you need internet. Yes, if you have a good internet experience, I'll recommend that you always do your coding in Colab. Colab has a lot of flexibilities, a lot of tools that make the work so lovely to do. For example, Colab is automatically integrated with Google's LLM model, which is Gemini. So you can do live data analysis, a lot of tasks through Notebook together with Gemini. It's fantastic experience. So you need to learn to get up to that level. So using Colab is very flexible. Today we'll take the advantage to learn something about Colab, at least to give you the necessary knowledge for you to be able to engage with Colab, and then you can learn the more detailed part of it maybe later, because we have free version, we have purchase version, which means that there can be more to it. That's if you want to go deep into it, you have to do that yourself. But CodeFusion will give you the necessary knowledge for you to feel comfortably okay to engage with Colab. Maybe you might not even want to dip any further. Yeah, so that's what we're going to do. Before we start, any questions from your readings, from some of the videos you have done, what you were going over, whether from CodeFusion or from any other source? Any questions that we will all have to join ideas and answer? Any questions?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yes. I was wondering, aside the the play button at the top when you're trying to run a code. Is there any shortcut on the keyboard for it without you having to use the play button at the top there?
You are talking about the Jupyter notebook, right?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I'll share my screen quickly so that we all know. You can point, people will see exactly what you are talking about.
All
Then
right,
we
sure.
try to answer it. All right, so let me share my screen now. Okay, so let me open an instance of a Jupyter notebook, Jupyter Lab. I mean, we are the same technically. So I'm going to, I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I'm going to open Jupyter Lab through the command line interface. Let me, just for the sake of time, let me just open it at this directory. So Jupyter Lab. You just type this and you press enter. Okay, so we are here. Please, can you mention your name, the person who asked the question?
Every time I call.
Please come again. Try to speak out for me. I'm coming.
I am a call.
Echo, okay. Echo, please repeat the question.
Yeah, I was asking whether aside the play button at the top where there is the cut, the copy, yes, that play button.
Yes.
Aside, yes, aside that, is there any other keyboard shortcut we can use to run?
Oh, plenty. I'm saying plenty, not that plenty. I think I know of three. If there are other ones, maybe we will have to explore. At least to the best of my knowledge, there are three ways you can run the code cell. This is very traditional. I mean, usually your hand is more close to the keyboard than to the mouse. So it's
Exactly.
some time wasting trying to get to the mouse and drag and stuff. Yeah, so that's a very good question. When I have something like this, say, what should I even type? Import. Don't worry about the sense behind the code if you don't understand. I'm just doing something to represent something. Import pandas as PD. Then I say df equals PD dot data frame. Let's say I just want to create some tabular data. So in fact, I don't have any idea of the table I even want to create. Someone should bring an idea. Which simple table can we create? Please just engage. Let's do it together. Which simple table can we create? We don't want to waste time. So I need the column names. Just say the table, just give us some column names, create the table quickly.
The column maybe, okay.
Yes, please go ahead. I'm listening.
But I was saying with the column, we can use an amount there, and then with the row, we can use probably the ages of people. So each age and the income they're able to make. In your 20s, you're able to make probably 10,000. In your 30s, 12, in the order, something like that.
Okay. Let me use. We are students. I'm a teacher. Let me use what is usually close to us. So let me say, this is student's name. So let me say student. Let me type in lowercase student. So this is some list of students. For time's sake, let me just give some short names. So Ama, Kofi, yeah, 3 students. Okay, so I'm done with, sorry. The comma should come here rather. I'm done with the names of the students. Okay, so let me even modify the heading. Let me say student name to be more specific. That's the label. And then let's say I have scores. We are not at the moment interested in the subjects. We just want their scores regardless of which subject. So score. So this is a string label, so you have to put it in quotation. Score is also a list of numbers that match the list of the students. So we have, let's say Amma is 80, Kofi is 89, Ya is 70. If you are here, don't worry, okay? It doesn't mean I hate Ya people. So let's say we want to create this table of just 2 columns of students' name and scores. Yeah. I don't need to, after typing the code, move my hand from the keyboard and come and pick a mouse and travel this long distance finding this guy to run. I can run it by pressing some key down and then entering. So that's what I said. Maybe we can do that thing in multiple ways. The usual one we do is Shift plus Enter. Shift plus Enter behaves this way. It runs the current cell, which we have the code, and then moves the cursor to the next cell. So let's do it and see. I'm doing Shift Enter. Okay. So we all saw the behavior. So it's like if there is even no empty cell below, it will create the cell by itself. So it has run this code and it has created, it understands that once you have run this, you want to go to the next cell and create. So it does it automatically. That's Shift plus Enter. There is also Shift plus Alt. I think Shift plus Alt need to be probably scrapped because it does the same job. Previously, from my experience with this application, Shift plus Enter will run this one. If there is an empty cell, maybe it will jump into it. But if there was no empty cell, probably it will not do anything. And then Alt plus Enter will create a cell below. So now let's see Alt plus Enter. So I've created a table. I'm going to do a few things with the table. For example, I just want to show the table. So I'll do df directly, or I can do print df. So df, I can do, now I'm going to do alt down and then enter. It does the same thing. So that's why now I don't see the difference between shift plus enter and alt plus enter. Shift plus enter runs the current cell and then comes down to the next cell. And if there is no active cell there, it creates one. Yeah. And then let's say we want to extract one column of the table. So I do df dot score, for example. I can also do control plus enter. So that's the third where you can run it from key combinations. Control plus enter will run the cell and the cursor will stay put in that same cell. Something like that. So let's do it and see. Control enter. Okay. So it runs it. It doesn't move to any next cell or create next cell below. It runs it, and then the active cell is still the same cell. That's control plus enter. Not the type you would usually be using. So it will be shift plus enter or alt plus enter. I think the two, they do the same thing. So you have to make a choice for yourself. Is that okay to answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. It's okay.
Yeah. Okay, so today we're going to talk about Google Colab. Let's do it briefly so we can close early. Google Colab, instead of this one, it's a software I've installed on my computer, it's on my hard drive. If I didn't have enough space that can accommodate this, then it means I am system handicapped or I am resource deficient, so I can't run this thing. That is if you have to use the one I just used. The on-premise, let me use that expression, on-premise, on your computer resources to be able to run this. You have to install this Anaconda heavy package on your computer, and then the Anaconda comes with the Python interpreter. It comes with a host, a bunch of places you can type, edit your code, and run and see what is happening. If you should deploy what you have done, how it will behave, you need to know it beforehand. So that's the whole idea of what we are doing. So when you, not just because you don't have system resources, but it is becoming the order of the day where almost everything is now being hosted in the cloud. So nowadays, you do not necessarily need to buy a computer, unless maybe you're a programmer, you do a lot of stuff offline, and maybe you don't have also reliable internet. Otherwise, everything is on the web. Everything is in the sky, cloud. So let's take the advantage to also know how the cloud version of this same Google, Jupyter Notebook or Jupyter Lab, the cloud version, which is hosted on Google service. It is owned by Google. Google updates it, and it's so flexible, so fantastic. So I'm now going to go to a browser. See, all of them runs in a browser, just that this one, you shoot it from your computer's hard drive. The Google Colab is in the sky already, so you just need a link that kind of accesses that computer which has the Google, the Google Colab. Yes. So we'll need some browser. So let me get a browser. Let me use Chrome. Where is my Chrome? Okay. So new tab. I think the full address to the Google Colab page is Colab dot okay, so I think this short address works. Colab.google.com. Or maybe you can just do the traditional thing. You can go to Google search box, for example. I will demonstrate that one. Let me finish this one. So colab.google.com, right? And then it opens your Google Colab. Let me close this page. It looks like I already had some Colab notebooks running. So it's kind of opening in because this is not the interface I was expecting. So don't worry, let me use a different browser where I don't have any Colab open. So I do colab.research.google.com, colab.google.com, all of them take you to the same place. So it's still loading Google Colabs. Okay, don't worry. It looks like this also opened some project I was working on. The whole idea is if you type colab.google.com, the whole idea I want to demonstrate. So let me see if I'll get it correct this time. It doesn't open the same thing. Your first experience when you open Google Colab, the interface will be different from this one. Okay, so I think this is the new interface that pops up when you open it for the first time. Yeah, it used not to be like this. Yeah, I've not been using it of late. So I think there are some recent changes. So this pops up. The most important thing is how you understand how to use it. The first thing I think your eye should go on is this blue button. So you have gone to colab.google.com. Something pops up like this one, new notebook. It is automatically connected to your Google Drive. So the moment you create new notebook, it goes to your drive. It has a folder that it will go and sit in. So when you go to your Google Drive, you will see all Colab collections which you have created. They will be there. You can access it anywhere on any device and work on it. You also have the advantage of seeing recent Colab notebooks that you have created. For example, I've been doing some stuff, so you can see that this section has some files that I can open directly. Maybe I'm working on this top one, so the recent one helps you to easily access it and run it. And then I think when you do it for the very first time by yourself, you will see this page, examples. So you can see overview of Colab features, some markdown guidance, which is provided by the Colab team, charts in Colab. So it gives you this tutorial for you to know how Colab works with some codes and other things demonstrating how you can use Colab to do at least these topical issues. Yeah, but besides all of these things, you will want to create a notebook. That's probably the main reason why you are even accessing the Colab. So if that's the case, you press here. We'll later come back and probably talk about using Google Drive inside your Colab. But new notebook opens like this. Yes. So it's the same Jupyter Lab or Jupyter Notebook that I made you install that you are already familiar with. But this is a cloud version, which is on Google service. You have the same file, edit, view, insert, runtime, tools. There could be even some other features here which might not be on the one you have run. And the organization is a little bit even more easier, more friendlier. For example, code cell, you click this one to create a code cell. Instead of calling it markdown, which is too technical a word, you see text. So in the notebook, you can create your message, your story, everything. You don't need to create a code and copy it and go and open Office Word, and it's nasty. Yeah, so you do everything here. You just need to know how to use the environment to do exactly. It can do just everything. Very complex analysis. Yeah, it's very, very, very powerful too. So you just need to learn about how to do that. So it has automatic code cell 1. If you want to create more, you can use this plus to create more. Just like we have the equivalent in the Jupyter Notebook or Jupyter Lab, which is installed on your computer's hard drive. You can use these buttons to delete. You can also use to move up and so on and so forth. And then when you hover your mouse at the bottom of each cell, you get the you get the buttons. These are clickable buttons to create either a text cell or a code cell. So for example, I can create a text cell here. It is a text cell. And it gives you Microsoft, or let me say this is Google. So it gives you something like Google Sheets style of buttons to help you edit your text. Even though embedded under each of these buttons are markdown codes, let me put it that way. So it's good for you if you want to really learn programming to know what happens behind this button rather than just sitting in your comfort zone and be clicking. And if you like clicking, don't come and learn programming. But it's a flexible way of maybe if you want to do some clicking for whatever reason, you can use them. So now I want to move this one up, the text cell up, because I want to give a heading to the project. Okay, so it's here. If I want to create a heading, so in our previous tutorial, we learned basics of Markdown, which is a lighter version of the markup language, the HTML, XML, and those languages. So it's a lighter version of it, which helps you to style texts in any way so that you can communicate well. So if I do this, it means I want to create a heading. You can also use this one to insert the same thing. But the advantage is it inserts and it adds a text when you click on this T. But don't fancy the clicking thing. It's even waste time. So we know that we need to do this for a heading. So we say, okay, welcome. to Colab, or let me say Google Colab. And you see this live preview as you are typing and showing you, okay, this is the effect of your actions. Is that what you want? Or maybe this is too big. If it is too big, I come to the next level of heading. So this is a little bit shrink. If I think it is still too big, if I do 3, shrinks it. So that gives you an idea of the levels of headings. It's up to 6. 1 is the biggest. If you do 2 hashtags, it's a subheading to the bigger one in that order, up to 6 levels. The added advantage is that you see that live preview. If I want to do a code, it's the same thing as we know of it. So you type the code. So let's say import, and you see, you can see this IntelliSense. That's how it is called. It kind of infers that, okay, as a data scientist, as a coder, I open Google Colab and I type I. It's most likely that I want to do import. And of course, that's what I want to do. So I can use my tab key to press, and I don't need to type the whole of these set of codes. I don't need to do that. So it gives you that speed. The only thing you are learning is you need to understand what you are doing. That's what learning is. It's not to really manually do the thing, something that a computer should do. If you can manually do it, that does not mean you are intelligent. You are wasting time. Yeah, so the computer will do it. Just know what you are doing and command the computer to do it. Yeah, that's how it works. So I do the importation. It works the same way as we did in the other one. Maybe I want to import NumPy. I didn't mean to, but it's so flexible to add it. And then, okay, so I'm done, okay? Let me just import these packages. Running it is the same thing. Shift plus enter will run it. The only thing is that these things are happening on Google's computer, not your computer. So see, now it is connecting to the server for allocation of resources. So if you can see where my mouse is. Now you have been allocated resources because you need resources to do this computation. So you have a RAM of, so let's read the screen tip, connected to Python 3 Google Computer Engine backend. RAM of 12.67 gigabytes, disk space of 107 gigabytes. Some of us don't even have these statistics on our own machines, and you have it for free. If you have a good internet, you have this resource for free to do your compute. And of course, if you need a bigger one, you can pay some small dollars and get a very big distance. So that's what is happening now. It is cloud computing. That's how computing is now. So maybe you have to think of learning the skills in cloud computing because it is hot cake. It's big money. It's not those kind of things you hear in the classroom. No. If you really want to learn and go to where the money is, these are the things. Don't learn the traditional school stuff. Yeah. Try doing these things. And to learn these things is not really school. School will do it the same thing they do to you every day. It should be your own journey. This is what I want to do, and you can do it. So cloud computing is there, and what we are doing is just around cloud computing. I'm using another person's machine to do my work and pay very little. I think the only thing you need to make sure it's stable for you is your internet. So I've run it, I've been given resources. So you can see that if I click here, this is table of content for the project I'm doing. So because I did welcome to Google in the text cell, so you see it here, welcome to Google. And then session by session, it will be populating a table of content. What is important for me, coming here is this one. Because you've been allocated RAM and this, so now you have a machine. So you should have your location. So you see this folder. Okay, so these are your location for this computer. You have this folder. And this folder has this sample folder for you. You can add other folders here. I think when you right click, you can see new file, new folder, for example. So I can add a new folder here and say, okay, this folder is CodeFusion. Press enter, and I have CodeFusion folder. And I can put things in CodeFusion. I can open CodeFusion. Or I can click on CodeFusion. I think that's how it works. It doesn't open like a folder. So once it's created, I can click on it and to access if I can do some stuff. So I can do new file. New file here means that I can insert a file into it, even though I cannot open the folder as a window. So I'll do new file. Okay, so it opens under it's like this. And then I will say, usually you will not be doing this new file thing. You will be importing your file because your files might be CSVs, some Excel sheets that you want to probably import into pandas and continue the analysis. So you might not really be doing this. Let me delete it. And then let's do something like add a file to this. Okay, so I can do right click and say upload. And then let me try to find some file. Let me come to data science. Let me see if I can credit card data. Okay, so there's this credit card data, which is CSV. So I'm uploading it to that folder. So it's saying one, and ensure that your files are saved elsewhere. This runtime's files will be deleted when this runtime is terminated. You are being rented this thing. So when your activities are done, Google will not keep the files that you are creating on its servers. So it will kind of do it. So these things, the runtime will not save it. So you should have it somewhere. And I think that's the advantage, that if you access the file from or you create a file in your Google Drive, it's safer than doing it in the space that Google has provided you through this disk. Because when the runtime is over, this disk will be wiped off and it goes with the data you have created, except the default one that Google has put there. So the one I have created, CodeFusion, will wipe out. If I want it to be permanently there, then I need to go to my Google Drive. So this is where you click to access Google Drive. We'll come back to it. And then I'll create this folder on Google Drive so that when the runtime is over, I still have it on my Google Drive. So for now, we are experimenting with the drive, the live drive that Google has given. This is live. After the live session, it's off. So I have this, so I want to really say, I've already imported pandas. I want to load this into pandas. So I'll do, let's say data, okay, df. df equals pd.read. Okay, and this is the very important benefit. As I'm typing, you get an IntelliSense. Even at this level, okay, it's giving you, okay, since you've done read, it looks like it's one of these things, so I can use my tab key to pick it. And then you also see that it has this whole thing. It gathers IntelliSense from the fact that there's this attached folder, which is CodeFusion, and it is the active folder. And there's a file in it. And therefore, when you do a code like this, it looks like you want to really read this file. So it brings the whole set of code to be able to do that for you. if you are a beginner, you can help yourself by, even though learning from the code, you will try to type it by yourself. You try to type it. That's how you pick the logic into your head. If you get it very good and you are doing actual project, for learning, type them. I will advise you. So for learning, type them. But for doing actual products, actual projects, when you have gathered enough skills, then you can use this thing to quickly go faster. But for learning, type. I'm going to skip. Okay, so I've typed the whole thing. In Colab, that is how flexible it is. So df equals read underscore CSV sample. Okay, so it's picking it from here, sorry, the sample data folder, because that's the folder that comes from it. If I mean to read it from here, then I need to say I'm reading it from this folder, CodeFusion. I'll replace this part, CodeFusion. And then inside CodeFusion. So to save me all of these kind of long talk, I can quickly come here and do right click and say copy path. So I'll copy the path to this file, and then I'll clear this whole thing off and leave only the quotation and do Control V to paste. Okay, so that I don't really run errors and stuff. So this is the directory here. Content is the upper folder, and then there is CodeFusion folder, and then this is the file. So if I come one step down and say df.head, which means I only see the top 5 rows of the data. That should give me a sense of how the data looks like. I don't need to load the whole data. That's one way that pandas work, unlike Excel. So I have the first 5 rows of the data. It's flexible. Doing it in Colab, I will advise you to pick Colab tutorials, plenty of them. Most of them have their different ways of making you grasp the concept. So don't just watch one, you can watch multiples and gain more knowledge, more perspective. People use it differently. Then you can know that, okay, I have a good knowledge with Colab. Colab is good to use. Okay, you see, even after this, I can now come here. And since Google's LLM model is automatically embedded, Gemini, I think I showed you. Yeah, so Gemini is here. Gemini is an AI engine which can you just need to type words, all right? And that's what data science is in our days. You need to understand the logic of code. That's why you are learning coding. But when you are actually working, you don't type the codes. I'm telling you the truth. Yeah, so now I can access Gemini and say, Gemini is even here in all of these recommendations they are doing for you. Say, generate code with DF, view recommended plots, new interactive sheets, whatever. So you can click on one of these things, or you can, if you look at the text here, start coding or generate with AI. And then when you click on generate, you see that it's a link. So let me click on generate. Okay, so let me just type something. Okay, so I just did this, extracted the two columns just for illustration, all right? So I'm not doing any deep kind of analysis. And then this is a text, okay? I'm a human. I don't really need to do this, but we need to understand the logic of codes. But when you are done with your coding learning, you're a programmer, you're a developer, in your development journey, most of the time you also be doing these things. And this is becoming the norm of life. We are in the era of machines working with us, machines doing things with us, machines even doing better than us. And it looks like we are even in competition with machines. That's the era we find ourselves. So you have to take your mind to that level. Otherwise, you are cake. You are dead and gone. So extract any two columns, and it understands this as a human, and it generates the code prompt, extract any two columns. So it's doing import pandas, import numpy, welcome to Google Colab, df, the same thing. So it's doing the same coding again. Extract two columns, example, card and report. Extract df. So it's creating another object called extracted df, which is going to be df big square, first square bracket, and then inside that square bracket, we have another square bracket that has the list of the two columns, card, this. When I run this code, it's just going to extract any two columns from the data set, right? Card and report. But I didn't type this code. I typed these human words, extracted the two columns. Okay, so now let me come and say, generate code with extracted df. No, view recommended plot. Okay, let me say view recommended plot. Okay. These are a lot of recommended plots on the data sets I've loaded. What am I doing? I'm not doing coding. I'm doing data science. And these are the tools are there. You just need to know what you are doing. To come to this area, you need to know coding before you can understand how the coding are working and all of these stuff. So this is a bit tutorial about how you can use AI, which is embedded in Google Colab, to do analysis without knowing code. So this is like no code data science, no code data analytics, sort of. Okay, so let me pause and ask if there are questions, any questions so far. No questions, good. So I think I've talked about the essential things, the location, the disk you have, and the fact that you can create your own folder in that is live disk. When the session is over, it's also wipes off. And you have this sample data to experiment with. So it's put there for your practice as a beginner. So, okay, I have these files. I can load these files into my notebook. You just have to say pd.read underscore CSV, you know some code, and you do that. Yeah. You can also connect your Google Drive. At the moment, remember that these current locations we are dealing with is this disk of 107.2 gigabytes. That is the disk. This disk is a live disk. It's Google server disk. When you stop using the Colab, it is freed away. It's not stored. So when you are working on the project, you need to know exactly what you are doing. If it is something to be stored, this is why I'm doing a demonstration, so I can do it here. When I close the session, everything is gone. But in most cases, we will want to store what we are doing, right? So you want to connect your Google Drive to your notebook. So again, you come to this folder, which is a representation of this disk, but it also has these options for you. What we want to talk about is Google Drive. So let me click on this. Then you get this pop-up which says, permit this notebook to access your Google Drive files. Do you want to do that? Which means we are connecting the notebook to our Google Drive so that either we are picking the notebook from the Google Drive or there is a file, CSV file on the Google Drive that we are going to use the Colab to import into and analyze. Whatever the case, we are connecting to the Google Drive. So you say connect to Google Drive, you agree. And then you will see there will be a third folder here. And what is obvious is that that folder is called Drive. You have not created any folder that you have named Drive yet. And this drive can only be the Google Drive. So when you click, drop down like this, you will see my drive. So this is my drive, my content. So when I click, I can see a lot of things. So you can see Joshuado here, which is indicative of us and my drive. And then you can see folders. You see this Colab notebook. This folder will be there as a default folder. And you can do, so my NLP projects, other projects. Okay, so now that I have connected my Google Drive to the notebook, I can now, for example, create a code cell here and write a code to read a file from here. I think we have some files here. This is credit card customer. This is data set or whatever. This is okay. I think these are notebooks. Okay, this is an Excel file. Let me see this one. Yeah, this is a CSV file. Okay, so we can right click here and copy path and write a code like this. Let's say data equals pd.read_csv content CodeFusion, not this one. So data equals pd dot read CSV. And I'm going to do this and do paste because I have copied the path. It's a long code. So I'll come back here and do enter and say maybe data.head. I just want to see the first 5 rows. Let me see. It looks like so df. Sorry, so data.head. Okay, I think that code didn't write. So data.head, let me run it again. So you can see the head of that data. But the point I want to emphasize is that we are now running this code from a file which is in our Google Drive. So it's like, oh, we have a file. We want to see, we have some business data, maybe some sales data. We want to see how sales are going, how things are going. And the picture, everything that is happening in the business, which your mind cannot capture, is embedded in the data. So the data will give you a good sense of, okay, this is what has been happening. Sales are moving stagnant. We need to do something about it. Expenses seems to be going up, catching up, and our margins are closing. You can see all of these things is in the data, and that's why data is now more than gold. And every serious country is investing heavily in data infrastructure. And now see artificial intelligence. The computer is made intelligent only through data. So that's how important data is. All right, so any questions? So we've talked about Google Drive connection, how you can read a file from it. Of course, you can also open a notebook straight away from your Google Drive. Yes, you can do that. So let's try and see how we can do that. So this is a notebook. First of all, let's right click and see. Okay, it says download. So this is a notebook by itself. See the one we are experimenting with, this one, which is attached to your drive, and your drive has the data. That's the connection you should get right. This is the notebook, and we have found a way to attach your Google Drive to it so you can pull the data into your notebook. So if I'm opening another notebook, it can't open in, a notebook cannot open in a notebook. You can only open a file in a notebook. So what, if you want to use Google Colab to open a notebook on your Google Drive, then you have to come and do open new file, new notebook, yes. So I come to file, new notebook in Drive. Okay, it's even here. Or you can even ignore new notebook in Drive and come and say, open notebook. I think it should give you a dialog. Yes, where you can see Drive here. And on your Drive, these are all, these are coming from my Google Drive. So on your Google Drive, let's say I want to find a notebook. Okay. So this is an untitled. Okay, this one is some tutorial I did with Switch. There's a program University of Cape Coast runs on their distance program. So let me open it. I just click on it. And then it will open a new browser tab for that notebook because it's a new notebook. But the idea we are emphasizing is that you can run a notebook in Google Colab from your Google Drive, just like you can run analysis in your Google Colab from data in your Google Drive. So these are the two things. One, when you have a Colab, which is a cloud version of the notebook, you can create a folder first of all on the live drive, which means you cannot save, or you can connect your Google Drive to the Google Colab. The Google Colab is for the analysis or for the programming. You connect your Google Drive to the Google Colab. Then you can do two things. In your Google Colab, which is the current Google Colab, you can type a code to do analysis from a data set which is in your Google Drive. Or you can open a notebook which is in your Google Drive in a new browser tab. Yes, that's what we have demonstrated. Yeah, so we will end today's session here. I guess you are okay with the content. If you have any doubts, you can ask questions right now, and then I will attempt to answer them. Any questions?
Yes,
Yeah. Okay, please go ahead with your question.
mine is not actually a question. I just
Okay.
I was wondering if you could just send one of these data files. I mean, one of these data you have, you're able to go through your drive and pick one among data. Just if you could just give us one data to work with, because I opened mine and it's only the things they have here. They have the bin, root content, data lab, their own folders. But I'm
Okay,
gonna
so if I get you right, you need some data sets that you can experiment
yes,
with.
please. Yes,
I'll
please.
send you plenty of them.
All right,
The only thing is that some of them are proprietary. So I will search for proprietary ones that if I send and they catch me, because I have signed agreements. I have learned with some top level institutions like Massachusetts Institute of Technology. So I have their intellectual content here, and you sign undertaking that you don't release it. I have learned with the University of Texas. These two universities are in the US. They also have the similar agreements here. So those kind of data sets, maybe I cannot share, but I can have some ones that are for training, which doesn't have any problem.
That's fine, sir. That's fine.
Any other questions, please? Okay, so thank you very much for your attention, and then we'll meet next week.
Yeah, thank you, sir.